So what is the purpose of the US Armed Forces now in their own perspective?
It's a jobs program.
Okay.
It's like you're giving jobs to lower middle class whites, women, minorities. Um, it's a grift. It's a huge section of the pie that gets spent on military contractors. It's like the money we give Israel that gets turned around and spent at Raytheon's door. It's not nothing to do with Israeli security or something. You're milking the teat. I think, yeah, that's what the Pentagon exists to do. It's a jobs program for um, like D3 athletes at American colleges who don't want to sit behind a desk. And, that type, and then liberal, and increasingly a large number of liberal status drivers who like the idea of like putting on the uniform and like having, oh, I'm in the Pentagon. They like that kind of stuff. Harvard grads, that kind of thing. They like that.
Yeah. It does seem like the ultimate girl boss, office to get to. I mean, I have a friend who was in the UK military, and he was complaining about women in the military, and it wasn't a new thing. They've been in the military, but they were kind of expanding the reach of putting women in special forces, and he was describing to me just not only the toll it took on morale, just having mixed groups. I mean, what he was saying was that everyone was having intercourse at all times, and it was quite a debauched situation. But the women were even with all the help that the men had to offer them, and because they were, I don't know, a team that had to. There's a lot of physical challenge, and apparently the women were getting stress fractures in their legs, in their femurs, in their hips. Like, it's not a thing that you can't even imagine how terrible that should be. And apparently that was with help, with people carrying their equipment. So, what for? Why?
Well, there's a good book by Martin Van Creveld, who's an Israeli military historian, who I find in particular really valuable. He wrote a book called I think it's Men, Women, and War, talking about women in the military. And he makes a great point there. He says, once the military, and Van Creveld is the one who really got me aware of the problem of state-on-state warfare. It was like, how do you fight a nuclear-armed state? Oh, it turns out there's a huge problem. He says, once war becomes unserious and you don't fight them in the way that you're supposed to, i.e. against a conventional opponent, the need for military virtue declines. So yeah, then you can have people who are overweight. You can have, I like this, the breastfeeding moms, new moms. Like, are you really, I mean, I get this is so misogynistic, incel, virgin, blah, blah, blah. How are you supposed to give a gun to a new mother and tell her to charge a hill? And the point is like, well, we would never do that. They're going to do things here, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It just means you're no longer thinking about winning, thinking about killing the enemy or defeating him. It's about technical stuff. It's about administration. It's about making people's feelings, feel good. It's not about winning wars. That goes out the window. And you've seen that. So, for a lot of feminists, the idea of joining the military is this, like, I'm going to really prove something to the man. And like you're pointing out, what you end up doing is you turn barracks into whorehouses. It's just horrible. It's indecent. The indecency that I saw between men and women in the military was shocking. It's just, and not as even just, oh, you're such a prude. I'm saying adultery, just gangbangs, just unprofessional relationships, alcohol, drug abuse, domestic violence, rape accusations. I mean, I was talking to an NCIS investigator on Okinawa. He said 80 to 90% of the cases he investigated was trying to litigate Marines or soldiers or airmen who were at public events intoxicated and then sexual touching and deciding whether or not it met the standards of sexual assault. It's like, you just can't have a functional military when you have what's basically adult high school playing out everywhere you go. And this isn't to say there are no patriotic women. I've met the kind of really like freakishly strong women who are able to do all these military things, but you're not building a military off of these like the fringes, like the most extreme examples. You're thinking about how do you have a military in general? And no one thinks about this stuff. So now it's all about, we got to have a lactation room in our military headquarters. And I'm not joking about that. Like, that's something that someone like Lieutenant Colonel Scott Stevens, a big Mill Twitter account, he loves that. We got to make sure. I was engaging with a woman, staff sausage. She's like, I was breast pumping in the field. It's like, I'm all for mothers. I love women. I want women to have their rights protected. I love smart, spirited women. And one in particular who there's, like my fiance, great gal, but none of that is to say just to lie to ourselves about what the difference is by nature, right? That's ridiculous. And it leads you to this place of just insanity.